computer might die. So
I actually have a charger over there.
Yes, the charger's over there. So just in case you don't feel like in the corner, like help me, and you'll be like, okay, I help you.
Time still. Okay. But drink through a little.
Okay, I love you all.
For just that line, we'll come back a second.
Goodbye.
Yeah. Great.
Oh dear. Now this is a stew.
And are you 100% clear on the in the trees in the air thing?
It looks like it's still
And do you want to do it or no?
If that will.
Okay.
I'll grab a couple on the floor so I can plug it in.
Bianca?
Yes.
Tempo for chronic responsibility at the end.
Hi. Well, I've been liking it.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, great. Open house.
Please, I'm sorry. I'm
That's okay, that's okay.
Yes, open the house.
For chronic responsibility. What is the last name? Not my phone. No, literally, it's been falling. You can't get out.
Oh, no.
I kind of like the idea that, like the drums and the drums are just like from another show.
Hey, Emily. Enjoy.
Lauren! Oh my god.
I missed you this morning.
Well, I know. Well, I found out that apparently to make the transfer at Stanford, I had to be like out the door with Bianca, so we rode the same train out.
Well, no, I literally woke up at 10. So.
Well, yeah, it was it was a moot point, anyways.
Okay, we're doing.
House is open.
Like maybe over here.
I thought it was a bit more.
She's gonna be here. Yeah, that's what I was gonna distract her. Can we be over here?
I hear ya, and I love the idea.
Yeah, here's good. But if I have to.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
You did?
You're right. My energy. Nothing. No. Break. Oh, I never saw.
Hi. Hi. You beat Shay. That's so funny. We win. Shay's jumping away.
Yes, this is my friend Jessica. Nice to meet you. Oh, okay. Should we take a walk? That's up to your way. Okay, very excited. Yay, I'm so happy that you're here. I knew that Shay, leave one at the end for Shay. Abby, this is my daughter, her bestie, Taya.
We're very anxious together.
Shay, yeah, I know.
That's what mine said too. I was on the A going the other way. Oh no, yeah, so it sounds like the A.
I forgot, but it's
I didn't, that sounds
I know, but I think you can get so more comfortable.
I don't know.
in your life.
This might be my
Are you okay?
my
I
just have
That's a
trouble
topic.
trying to like.
Oh, man.
Yeah, every time I'm yeah, every time I'm like, it's always hard. That's
I don't know what last night to do with.
I always tease like, I leave late, I don't time well, I think I always forget to check the trains.
I was thinking that.
There was a time when we
But like, you knew you were going to be left. Or no, we didn't.
My entire family would like die for
Good God,
me.
how did you have it?
So you see my friend.
I think it's another reason why I hate so much.
Yeah.
If you don't want me to be
No,
they're also like
This lecture
Wow,
still
frozen
set for
full
you.
time.
I don't know.
It's more so just like learning the official reviews.
That's true. But
Yeah, I don't think I saw shoulders.
yeah, that's pretty bad.
Yeah, I thought it was good, but I was like, yeah. And I have a fancy dress if you want to go to the shirt and stuff like that. Like whatever you want. Or we can just chill aside.
But alas. Thank you.
Slumber party.
I'm fine with staying over.
Yeah.
Pancakes in the morning.
Yeah.
Like until 5.
I am going over, so
I'm so glad though.
Yeah.
I'm excited. You see there's a
yes. Yeah, no, I would like to worry that.
You never held the check.
Are like always on, so I was like worried that I wasn't going to be able to like pull off going home for those days. But I am, so it's okay. So I'll take it.
Glasses clears?
I need
to get so I have to get well.
Would you guys look at theirs because of you?
Yeah, it's like you take it out, you have to like my sweater. Yeah, I was looking at that honestly.
No, it was like glasses, just like get clean.
Yeah, even if I like, I feel like I wash my glasses pretty regularly, but it's still like. I think that my friends like can't.
Yeah, because I mean like
It's growing around. Like, I describe I never want
my friend Dina, it's her birthday.
to you about and so the only two people I know. Her and I know. She said she wanted
Dish. So I would go like but if you don't hear me at midnight, that's home. If I have to
so much more fun had it just
I ran into
you know, she just needs to be. She's gonna come.
I'm no problem. This is where I was.
Okay, good.
What?
How was my day?
Well,
You just this is like I that's why it's on us.
My students did alright.
I didn't know where the 10 was. I got so I just keep no. I know that it was like I was wondering if it was in the same complex or if it was just like within the same area. Oh yeah, remember I went to the beach like a year ago?
yeah.
Oh my gosh, but I said even Alice, big fan. Big fan.
Okay, I've heard of
Oh,
it.
I was the household name.
Yeah, she is.
Figured right before you.
Oh my god, gotcha.
I've enjoyed, I know people are, it's like I was with you yesterday.
Right. Let's get this thing done.
You too.
Somebody's well below your expectations.
Yeah, but it's okay. You know, it happens.
I just like, I know, I said you were too scared to show it, but then I thought, which one was
So I will think on that.
Is it like really
No, I got that.
Exactly. So we'll see.
It was a weird case.
It's better than
Yeah. So I don't know. I don't want to do something so much. Pull out. So
We should do that scene.
I think like guitar grand pitch down.
Really?
It's the 30th.
It's like just the chord, so Evan doesn't want like fancy stuff. So I do it. Yeah. Well, I just do it. But I will talk to you.
Nice to see you. Nice to see you.
Hey. Started. So, anyway. So,
What one?
So sorry.
Enjoy the show.
If it starts, everybody will. I thought you, yeah.
So that way we could check out. I told if we have a it's a time. It's kind of busy.
Not half.
That's very important.
And I think the one
Yes.
What are you supposed to do? No more shoes today either. Like, there's only so many pops of Malone we can include.
No, I literally.
It's okay. Your feet are obscured by the sash.
I know, nobody will ever know except when I walk. You
You
were
were white though.
No,
Yeah.
Okay, fine. Yeah. It doesn't,
That's fine.
there's a hold for an extra couple. Yes.
What do you mean it's a hold for extra couple?
There's actually a hold for an extra couple of classes.
We're actually just not really consistent on the topic. It's really big.
That's fine. But there's not extra
No, extra.
in like past the regular like.
Right.
Okay, fine.
this. I saw.
Not for the I think I just. Yeah, no, I got it. I think I will. I think I did that last night.
Yeah. I had them my little
It happened. Use preview for your notes. How do you use your notes?
Well, I have a new system every time, but my system this time is it's preview, and I just put like type roll note. And what's cool is if I put it in the wrong place, like I did, I can drag it. It's not perfect, but I realized if I full screen it, I have 2 pages, and I still just full on the screen. It's just, I'd rather have it staff than I ever did. I don't have a printer.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for coming out to MCS tonight for Chronic Responsibility. I'm Trevor Markanovic. I'm creative director here, and I also had the humble honor of being director of Bianca's show, Chronic Responsibility. Just a few quick announcements. In the unlikely event of an emergency, the 2 exits are the door where you likely came in and the stage door right here. Second, you have expressed permission and blessing from Bianca. If you would like to take photo or video of tonight's performance, you may. She just asks that you please, 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 I quote, for the love of all that is holy on this planet, make sure the flash is off, just so we can be the least distracted performance possible. And this is also a work in progress. We intend to represent it again in March for Endometriosis Awareness Month. So we do have a QR code on the bulletin board there. After the show, if you'd like to scan it and fill out a short survey giving us some feedback, we'd love to hear from you. And without further ado, Chronic Responsibility.
I'm awkward. My best friend's a cat. My head's not really meant for hats. Yeah, I'm awkward. I have 2 left feet. I often say the word yeet. But can't you see how being ordinary is something that I never could? I'm awkward, but hey, awkward is good. I'm awkward, alcohol allergy, too much reality TV, yeah, I'm awkward. Sometimes call me, not Bumble, but me, awkward. Screaming into the void, sometimes the only choice, awkward. Turn me way up to drown out the noise. Speak really loud, stand out in the crowd by going way under or over the dress code. Always in crazy mode, stuck in the friend zone. But hey, that's me and being awkward is the only way I know how to be. I'm not crazy, I'm just a little bit awkward. Don't want to kiss, I often make a face like this. Yeah, I'm awkward. If I were a cat, I would say hiss. Really loud, stand out in the crowd. Not going right under or over the dress code. Always in crazy mode, stuck in the friend zone. But hey, that's me and being awkward is the only way I know how to be. I'm not crazy, I'm just a little bit awkward. Don't have too many friends, but the fun never ends. Yeah, I'm awkward. So many problems you could not comprehend. But can't you see how being is good. Our word is good. Our word is writing that song, which by the way has nothing and also everything to do with our show this evening. 15 years ago, I started writing it at the age of 12 years old and just finished writing it this year at the age of 27. So it's just 7 minus 2 is 5. 2 minus 1 is 1. So it took me 15 years to finish the song. That is honestly a great turnaround for me. The fact that it's finished is enough for me to celebrate. Forget that it took 15 years. Really, what this number tells me is that the productivity level of Bianca is at an all-time high. And so I will say hi to you all, and welcome to Chronic Responsibility. Yes, yes! Oh my God, this top table. Thank you, Lauren. My sister is here tonight. It's a good night. Yes. Yes, and now a few more rules before we continue. Please be vocal in your theatrical experience. You know, hoot, holler, praise Jesus. If I say something funny, you may laugh. If I say something sad, you may cry. If you need to be or leave during the show for any reason, please do. You may miss something very profound and excellent, but there is also nothing more truly profound and excellent than emptying your bladder when you need to. Yes. These are the only rules. Oh yes, allow me to introduce myself for those of you that don't know me. My name is Bianca Barragan, which translates to white strong man. Yes, Bianca means white. Barragan means strong man, and thus you have me, a white strong man. Yes, I use she, they pronouns. I am a comedian, an actor, a musician, a singer, a teacher, and I live with a chronic illness. And I've gathered you all here this evening to do many things: to educate, to inspire, to sing, to laugh, to learn, to cry, to listen, to collect data, to bear witness, and to discuss the craziness of living with a chronic illness, and how with a chronic illness comes great chronic responsibility. And what those chronic responsibilities even are, well, let us find out together this evening. I am the one who coined this phrase, by the way. It was me who came up with it, no one else. One day, my mother was complaining about all the neck exercises she had to remember to take care of her neck injury, and I said, yes, Mother, with a chronic illness comes great chronic responsibility. I almost forgot. Most importantly, we are here to hold space and share about chronic illnesses, because I am sick and tired of being secretive about mine. Being an artist has given me a major chronic responsibility to share, and I want to share the full Bianca, all the truth from beginning to end. And I hope through my story, my chronic illness siblings out there can know that I see you. Oh, Lord, do I see you. And I hope you, the normie, who does not have a chronic illness, learns a thing or two about mine, and thus myself. #connection. Well, actually, I'm pretty sure that there are many of us here that do have a chronic illness. Did you know that over 60% of the population lives with at least one chronic illness? So guess who here? Well, actually, let us define what a chronic illness is, which the CDC defines as conditions that last 1 year or more and require ongoing medical attention or limit activities of daily living, or both. Please also know that according to the CDC, mental illnesses like anxiety and depression are also considered to be chronic illnesses. So yes, show of hands, who here has got all of us? That's the point. We all do. All of us. And I'm sure that you can agree that your chronic illness has given you oodles of chronic responsibility to your health, physical, mental, life, other things, because it's never just one thing, people. Chronic illness is debilitating. It's isolating. It's hard. It's not cute. and it has shaped my entire life tremendously. So let us get ready to dive a little deeper. It didn't really become clear to me until the 2020 pandemic times how much my chronic illness had an impact on my life. And it really wasn't until the beginning of this year that I started to decipher what my chronic illness means to me. I had not realized how much of the shame was holding me back in every aspect of my life. I spent the beginning of this year and 27 years before then really just hiding and angry and hurt and in so much pain. But to the pain I say, no more. That is enough. That is quite enough. So let us get into what my chronic illness even is, which leads me to the second polling of the room. Lots of data we are collecting today, people. Lots. So listen very, very carefully. Oh, so very carefully. You must listen to this question. Whomst here among us does not, I repeat, does not menstruate? Be brave. Raise your hands. Very, very good. If you have in the past, it doesn't count. If you have in the past, yes, I'm talking about people that never have. And now those people, and those people only, do you know what these are? Be brave. Silence. The silence is deafening. Yes, because you're all, yes.
They're tampons.
No.
They're not.
No. I appreciate your bravery, I do. But you are so incredibly wrong. Because what these are pads, and these are the only pads that Bianca can use when Bianca is on her period. For if Bianca does not use these exact pads, Bianca will bleed all over you. Why? Why do you ask? Because the chronic illness that Bianca has causes intense menstrual bleeding. So much so that I go through one whole pack of these in a matter of 5 days. Sometimes a little bit more. The chronic illness that Bianca has is something called endometriosis. And now if you do a quick little googly search, you'll find many definitions of endometriosis, but I find this one to be the most thorough and all-encompassing. Endometriosis, a disorder in which tissue, similar to the tissue that lines the uterus, grows outside the uterus in places where it doesn't belong. This tissue thickens, breaks down, and bleeds with each period. But the blood has no way to leave the body and becomes trapped. Painful periods are common with endometriosis. Also common is heavy bleeding or pain during sex or when having a bowel movement or urinating. Having trouble getting pregnant is also common with endometriosis. Pain medication and hormone therapy may ease symptoms. Now, let me put that into my own words. Paraphrase, if you will, for I am no plagiarizer, and I don't want to get the points taken off, or worse, expelled. Bianca's definition of endometriosis: a disease characterized by painful, heavy menstruation, and no one knows why the fuck it happens because no one has taken the time to study in depth the female body. The disease includes feeling pain all the time, feeling sudden, sharp, intense pain for no known reason, never feeling 100% okay in your body, not hitting romantic milestones in your 20s, like losing your virginity because your pelvis is inflamed, hating your entire existence, leading you to turn to drinking, and then ultimately leading you to become an actor. Thank you. No, but I can tell that some of us are shocked, confused perhaps, that this could happen in one's body. So a diagram I will draw, and through the diagram I will explain. But what you must understand is that endometriosis, like all uterine diseases, is heavily under-researched, and that research is heavily underfunded. So the causes of endometriosis are really just like theories and hypotheses, and the general vibe among doctors is, I don't know. But yes, what I will draw in this diagram is one of the leading theories as to how it works in America. In New Zealand and Australia, where they actually put money into research for this disease, they reject this theory entirely. But I'm so serious when I say no one knows what's going on. Now, if you look to my diagram here, the person, this is a uterus, the person with endometriosis bleeds once a month during the cycle of menstruation. But there is so much blood that accumulates, again, for no known reason. And there's so much blood that it starts to retrograde flow out of the uterus and deposit all over the body, in the hips, in the thighs, in the abdomen. I read an article once, actually, where they found this deposited tissue all the way in someone's brain. Yeah, endometriosis has actually been found on every single major organ in the body. And now that the deposited tissue is outside of the uterus, it still thinks it's in the uterus because it is dumb. And it's like, oh, I can do my job. Let me do my job still, please. And every month, when it's time to bleed in the cycle, again, the deposited tissue bleeds all over the internal organs and all inside a person's body, becoming trapped and solidifying into lesions, which can flare up with stress from exercise or distress from everyday life, and causing what can only be described as excruciating pain. This is the disease that I have. More importantly, though, this disease affects 1 out of 10 uterus people in the world. And now that research is showing that it's like, more like 3 out of 10, or even 4 out of 10. You know someone who has endometriosis. I mean, me, obviously. But also, you know someone else. Multiple someones. Hell, you might even have it yourself. You also know someone who has a chronic illness that they have kept or currently keep secret because it's taboo, or because they are ashamed, or because they are just sick and tired of trying to survive each day to try to explain to you the complicated shit that is happening inside their body. But again, tonight, we are dismantling and breaking through all of that, because all of that holding back has not been good for my chronic illness. So isolating. So hashtag not connecting. So really, this show is for my own health and wellness. This show is for me. And for you, it is for us. Hashtag connection. Yes. Now, the story of my chronic illness is as follows. I got my period at the most brilliant age of 9 years old. And it was wild. Yes. It was 3 weeks after this picture was taken, on my 4th grade picture day, that my life changed forever. It was a brisk fall October day when I first got my period. I was dropping off my sister at a birthday party, and then my mom was going to drive me to soccer practice because, yes, I was an elementary school soccer star. And I asked to use the bathroom at the party and found to my surprise that there was a surprise for me. But I was like, this certainly cannot be happening. Like, I know people said that it would happen because I started going through puberty at the age of 5, but this idea of blood leaving your vaginas at age 9 is preposterous and does not feel real to me. So I'll just ignore it. But then I got very scared. You see, the biggest driving factor that ultimately led me down my path of depression in my earlier 20s was I did not want to be different. And blood leaving vaginas at age 9 is like peak different. Does not get much more different than that. So as we were walking to the car, I told my mom, and the last thing I wanted to happen happened. We went back into the birthday party, and my mom asked the birthday mom for a pad and made this whole big deal about, oh, she's a woman now. Like, isn't that preposterous? So many adults after I got my period were like, Bianca, you're a woman now. Like, what does that even mean? Because if being a woman means painful bleeding from vaginas that could one day turn into a baby if some sperm and a penis came along to, fuck up the menstrual cycle, then I don't want to be a woman. I want to be Bianca. But over the course of my 4th grade year, it became very clear to me that in order to be Bianca, I had to be a 9-year-old woman and carry the burden of all the things that went with that. After my first period ended, it also became very clear to me that I had to be secretive about my newfound womanhood as to not disturb or upset or confuse my fellow 9-year-old classmates. Because for those of you that don't know, it was like so rare back in 2007 for 9-year-olds to get their periods. It's more of a thing now because of, those good old American GMOs and hormones and the poor stress these children are living under this day and age. Also, apparently, it's just more prevalent in African American communities, as if we didn't have enough to deal with already. Anyway, I had to keep my new secret a secret. Like, keep it to myself and only myself. Don't tell anyone. Don't even tell your best friend. Don't tell a single soul, and stuff that shit way deep down inside. Definitely exacerbating the chronic illness that was taking hold. I had to keep that kind of secret, and that was proving to be very difficult. Mostly because I, as a 9-year-old, had no understanding of what it meant to take care of your menstrual cycle. How often you should change pads, what size pad, don't wear clothes that are too uncomfortable or make leaking easier, and oh Lord, that was difficult, because I leaked a lot. Bled all over my 4th grade classroom carpet once during reading time, and that was because I had the telltale signs of endometriosis. I mean, heavy menstrual bleeding, so much so that now must use these, and only these, until the end of time. I did get better, though, at dealing with my secret, concealing it, and thus concealing the parts of my very, very excellent self. Like when I would be on my period and have to go to school, I would put my pads in a brown purse that I would take to the bathroom. And when someone would ask me what they were, I would be like, oh, this is nothing. This is nothing. One day, a boy asked me what was in my purse, and I just kicked him in the shin because I didn't know what else to do. One day, though, it got so unbearable not to tell anyone. I had to tell someone. So, as we were sitting on the carpet for that classic 4th grade elementary school reading time, I shouted out, "I have my period!" To which everyone gasped, and one boy hysterically laughed in my face. I ran out into the hallway crying. My teacher quickly had to do some damage control, and she came out into the hallway, and she told me that she told everyone that I have the thing at the end of my sentence. I'm good at punctuation. This seemed to do the trick of keeping the other 9-year-olds in their blissful ignorance while I got to stay in special 9-year-old adult land. Why did everyone get to be sheltered but me? Why did I have to be a woman at 9 while others got to be 9 at 9 and not have to worry about bleeding everywhere for a 5-day period once a month? Elementary school quickly ended with some semblance of my budding Bianca-ness intact. And then it was time to move on to middle school. Now, I remember very much looking forward to middle school. I was eager to take on higher learning and excited to maybe even audition for the very popular and somewhat incestuous school play. I was also very excited to not stick out anymore. In elementary school, in addition to keeping a very secret, everyone was also terrified of me. I was 5'8" by the age of 10 and already burdened with the responsibility of my own fertility. I was so ready to just be normal, to sit in class like everyone else and just blend in. I do remember not being so thrilled about gym class or physical education, as we were routinely corrected to say. Everyone knows that this town pool is connected to the middle school, but what a lot of people don't know is that the esteemed physical education teachers like to use that pool for their gym classes. Now, I don't think it's exactly fair to force maturing girls and boys to swim around in ill-fitting swimsuits in front of each other. It's also not exactly fair that 1 in 10,000 girls goes through puberty before the age of 8, and then I, scary 5'8" Bianca, happened to be one of the chosen ones. I do remember feeling a sense of dread when my first gym class in the pool lined up with one of my periods. And I guess that morning, when I leapt into the pool, overflowing tampon and all, was supposed to be one of those life-changing moments, right, where I discover who I truly am. Like, my brain was supposed to say, oh, it's all right, Bianca, because this is life, and it is messy, and beautiful, and filled with menstruation. But this is not what my brain said. As the blood from my confused body colored the water around me red, all I could hear my brain say was, see, you aren't human. And I'm smart. I'm like very, very smart. I like to take ideas and logically extrapolate off of them. So My smart brain concluded that if I were not human, then perhaps it would be best if I didn't exist. My mother didn't really know what to do with that information. My father, bless his twisted heart, told me that I shouldn't say those kinds of things because then someone might actually believe me. So I shut my mouth, returned to school, and kept going. Kept going through those 3 years and into high school, telling my best friends in the 9th grade that I didn't want to exist anymore because my brain kept feeding me this lie that I accepted as my truth. I kept going, stuffing down everything and anything joyful and letting bitter, hateful, resentful curmudgeon Bianca bubble to the surface. Yeah. I think I just have to put it in perspective, though, and know that it's not my fault that I took dramatic twists and turns to be on the stage before you tonight. Endometriosis in the beginning stages of my life truly just eroded at a personality that I never had time to develop. And 18 years later, it is still very hard to know that that experience was my experience. And 18 years later, it's still even harder to know that I'm still picking up the pieces of a little girl that was never put together in the first place. I think that I block out the past a lot of the time because I hate that I had to keep who I was and what I was going through a secret. And I guess I started to hate it so much that, I wrote a whole show about it just to fully come out of my chronic illness closet. People just never understood because they were never given the opportunity to. I wasn't even given the opportunity to. It's taken me so long to be able to describe how I feel inside my own body. And it's very hard to describe, but I guess in addition to being an artist, endometriosis has given me a major chronic responsibility to share. And it's very hard to describe. And maybe you won't even understand. 1, 2, 3. Broken bottles in flames, broken glass coursing through my veins, a promise of pleasure, but all I feel is pain. A promise of pleasure, but you don't feel the same. You don't feel the same. Can't feel my pain. For you, it is perfect. For me, it will never know, never know. It will never feel the same. Everyone heals with time. Everyone heals with time. But how do I get my body connected back to my mind? Oh, everyone heals with time, but you don't feel the same. No, 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 no. You can't feel my pain. For you, it is perfect. For me, it will never, never know. It will never feel the same. For you, it is perfect for me. It will never know, never know. It will never feel the same for you. It's perfect for me. It will never, never know. It will never feel the same. I guess one good thing that came out of my earlier experiences with my endometriosis is that I started becoming an artist. A few weeks after that pool incident, I started taking voice lessons I started writing songs like the opening number of this show. Oh, this was also around the time that I adopted my bestest friend, my kitty cat Jupiter, who would become my rock as for the next 14 years as I figured out how to, survive with all this. The rest of middle school was pretty okay. Everyone else got their period, which was nice. Yeah. But then high school and college came and everyone just started thirsting for sex, just thirsting for it. Sex, for many people, is sex equals good, right? Sex equals great. Sex equals lit. Sex equals the only thing in this world. Sex equals my morning, noon, and night. Like sex has got some of you all in a vicious chokehold. Vicious. I remember when I used to be on dating apps in college, just fucking around and finding out. I would tell people that I was a virgin, and they would be like, oh my God, you need sex. You need it. No wonder you are depressed. Sex is the only natural human thing we have in this world. You need it. I'm so sorry. I have a chronic pelvic inflammatory disease. It is actually not natural for me. For Bianca, actually, sex equals NA, or not applicable. Sex equals not very good. Sex equals not very lit. And I am, just so okay with that. I'm living my life perfectly fine without sex. So maybe you all need to have a come to Jesus with that. Because my God, the length some of you will all go to have some sexual intercourse, my God. But obviously, my opinions of sex have obviously been tremendously colored by my having endometriosis. I didn't really start making sense of that until an endometriosis gynecologist that I was working with inquired if I had ever been molested as a child, because apparently there was a correlation between that and developing endometriosis later in life. Well, actually, did you know that emotional abuse as well as sexual abuse during childhood is linked to the development of endometriosis later in life? Let's read from our big book of science. Yes, so we can learn more. The big book of science tells us that independent of clinical comorbidities, maltreatment during childhood correlates with an impaired function of the hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis and a chronic inflammatory state. Translation, no matter what other health issues someone might have, being mistreated emotionally and sexually as a child is linked to problems with the part of the brain that helps control stress and hormones. These problems can lead to ongoing inflammation in the body, resulting in endometriosis. After the gynecologist, though, asked me this question, I was like, no, this has not happened to me. And then I invited a guy, named Guy, yes, over to my apartment, and consensual lines were so very crossed because obviously if you invite someone over to your apartment, that obviously means that you will have sex with them. And after he left, I had a nauseating feeling like something like this had happened before. Very traumatizing deja vu. Those memories came flooding back to me where I could articulate that, yes, I was molested as a child, like age 6, 7 by my friends. I guess going through puberty at a young age and having boobs by the age of 7 is just very interesting, very intriguing. I guess it would then make sense for my friends to want to come over and have play dates and practice having sex with me in my own bed. I guess having the friends tell me, the friends who molested me, tell me that they wouldn't be my friends anymore if I told anyone caused stress to build up in my body as I was going through puberty. And I guess enough stress got built up to create a whole ass chronic illness with no cure. Oh, and being a black child in America definitely did not help either. All the cards were stacked against me, but what can you do? It's very interesting, though, yes, how sexual abuse can be linked to endometriosis later in life. #science. #learning. And I know that I'm not alone in this experience. It happened to me, and no, I have not figured out how to bounce back from it. And I would like to figure that out. It would help me so much if I figured out, how do I get my body connected back to my mind? See what I did there? I told you a lyrical origin story. I sang you part of the song. I am pretty clever. And I guess if I figured that out, then maybe I would have sex. could have sex, but also probably not, because sex isn't great for everyone. Some of us have only ever been assaulted. Sex isn't great for everyone, but I'm glad it's great for you. So yeah, 27 years old and I don't have sex. Never have. And I'm just so okay with that. I do go back and forth though, on whether my opinions of sex are because I am asexual or because of my chronic illness. Or just flip-flopping back and forth between those two, but should land on an answer and get back to you soon. Perhaps I am asexual because of my chronic illness. See, this is very fascinating. But there's no rush to figure this out because I am not infatuated with sex. But you know, I would like to do it one day. I have fantasies, but also must continue to practice intimacy with myself, which up until recently just did not really exist. I mean, it was sort of hard after bleeding in the pool at age 11 to practice any sort of being nice to myself in any capacity. Let us discuss this upsetting story in more detail because I think it's important to note how that swimming pool incident launched me into years of alcohol abuse. Hashtag sharing is healing. That day in the pool was the day that I know that I started to violently hate myself, like actively and relentlessly. I mean, I blame myself for what happened. Like, why couldn't I just suck up all the blood, back up my vagina, and do swimming pool class like a normal, regular person, and not have to use pads and tampons and all this other shit? Why can't I just be normal? Normal. This idea of normal has always plagued my mind, but truly, when the swimming pool incident happened, I was only 11 years old with virtually no understanding of menstrual flow regulation. I mean, of course, I couldn't have been able to suck up all the blood back up my vagina. This is just not even possible. I mean, I also wasn't even diagnosed with endometriosis until I was 21. 21. Yes, it takes on average 10 years for someone to finally be given an endometriosis diagnosis after being called crazy or drug addicts or delusional and making up their pain. It's dumb idiot doctors. And I guess what I'm trying to say is that all that back and forth from doctor to doctor and not being taken seriously and bleeding in pools in front of your entire 6th grade gym class and hypermasculine gym teacher can lead some folks to some very serious suicidal ideation. And that day in the pool launched a snowball effect of bad suicidal thoughts that avalanched when I started drinking. It wasn't until the evening of my senior prom that I took my first shot of Tito's vodka, and what little idea I had of taking care of myself just went flying out the window. What many people from my college life especially will have a hard time believing is that before that shot of Tito's vodka, high school Bianca was like, no, alcohol bad. Alcohol bad. Drugs bad. Not for Bianca. Not because I had any care to take care of my endometriosis. No, remember, I wasn't diagnosed with endometriosis until I was 21. I didn't do all those classic high school things because I was a square. But I quickly transformed into a more drunker trapezoid when I realized that drinking completely made my physical and emotional pain disappear. I loved it. I loved being able to transform into the Bianca that forgot that she had this thing inside of her, forgot about everything bad. Drinking gave me the permission to fully feel joy from the inside. But from the outside, it was very fucked up. I mean, that bitter, hateful, resentful curmudgeon Bianca grew into something stronger with every drink. And many people gravitated towards her because she was funny and blunt and charismatic and cool and would party hard. And all that partying only led to more thoughts of suicide, and all those thoughts of suicide only led to more drinking. Like the summer after I graduated from college and I went to this prestigious opera program in Germany. I had just finished a month-long run of The Marriage of Figaro, singing the comedic role of Marcellina. That's me with the feather duster. Yes. That time in my life presented me with the very, very real and scary premise of life outside of my collegiate bubble and how to get a foothold in this industry with a Bachelor of Arts in Music. I think it was the first time in my life that anxiety was added to my mix of emotions. That post-graduation doom of truly just not knowing what you're supposed to do next. So I would skip rehearsals to sleep because my body was so inflamed from all the drinking, and then I would go out at night to drink. And then at the closing night cast party, I subconsciously decided to drink more than I ever had before because truly, what was supposed to happen next? Drinking was the only thing that completely got rid of all the pain, even just for a night, and that was magical. And there are consequences to such magic, and a lot of reevaluating that takes place when you wake up after a night of binge drinking in a foreign country, not knowing how you got to bed, and then viciously packing to make your train and almost throwing up on the train, and then making it to your hotel room at 6 p.m. and shutting off all the lights and going to bed because you are still hungover from the night before. Oh, and even after all that, I still came back to New York and won an open bar that I gladly accepted with my friends because I still wanted to be pain-free and normal. But of course, drinking made me neither pain-free nor normal. It just made me depressed, made my suicidal thoughts worse. I mean, it made my endometriosis worse. Like, alcohol is a major poison, but to an endometriosis person, it is like death, poison death, because you are adding inflammation to an already inflammatory process. Everything just got so much worse. And then 7 months later, the pandemic hit, and I was so graciously given the time to confront those issues and fix them. And I so loathe that we have to be the ones to fix our own problems. Ugh. Even if they were given to us by a chronic illness. We have to be the ones to implement healthy coping skills to get us from point A to point B or point D or LMNOP or wherever the hell we're going. Ugh. That Germany experience showed me that we have such a chronic responsibility to take accountability for ourselves, to show up, to stay, even when our brain is telling us to do the opposite. But how do you even do that? I know I didn't know how. And all the things I knew how to do to make my life easier, I just tossed to the side because alcohol was normal. Alcohol was easier. Also, you just get to a point with your chronic illness where there are no answers and nothing else but drinking is working. I can now look back at that time in my life and know unequivocally that alcohol plus Bianca equals bad endometriosis flare-ups, bad suicidal thoughts, and as of this year, anaphylactic shock. It's comforting to know that I'm safely on the other side of nights of 12 shots, 3 Aperol spritzes, and Lord knows even how much wine. I know my endometriosis thanks me for it. Bianca of the past always was just like, shout it out, twist off the cap and let it drown you out. Can't seem to stop, never enough, never full. Finding strength at the bottom of the bottle. But then, during the pandemic, it was like a little voice, like Bianca of the future, kept popping up, speaking to me, saying, time to ascend. They say the start is the best place to begin. Put down the sword, now struggling ain't no sin. It's hard to cross when you don't know your way. So you learn to let it go. Oh, you think you know. You open up your heart and the walls stop caving in. You glow, decay and flow into your best friend. You find a reason to love again and stay. I want you to stay. Upside down, comfortable feelings that just you know, but you don't believe it. So when things don't go right, you declare it's the end. Still you glow and ebb and flow into your best friend. You find another reason to love again and stay. Dreams do come true, and so you learn to take it slow. Change bubbling inside that you just can't comprehend. You go low, decay, and flow into your best friend. 'Cause there's so many reasons to love again. I want you to stay. And stay I shall. Part of my fixing my relationship with alcohol in 2020 was learning how to fully and truly take care of my endometriosis and learning the true nature of the disease, which is on the CDC's list of top 20 most painful diseases to live with. And learning how to subtract alcohol and add healing habits, it was hard. It still is hard. Very hard to stay consistent. It's very hard to stay consistent with anything when you have a chronic illness. There's so much to do to maybe feel like 80% well for like an hour or two. For example, this is the list of all the things that I have to do or things that need to happen for me to be 80% well throughout the days. Yeah, it's a lot. Number 1, have a tremendous amount of luck come my way, like that of someone with no generational trauma or curses. Starting off strong. Number 2, exercise every day, but not too much, that I stress my body out and create stress lesions from my endometriosis, causing more pain that is debilitating and will 9 times out of 10 leave me bedridden. Number 3, keep up to date with various doctor's appointments and specialists, making sure my endometriosis isn't getting out of hand. And sometimes shelling out a $75 copay to have a 3-minute conversation about staying on a specific medicine. Number 4, water, obviously. Number 5, eat a gluten-free, dairy-free, soy-free, alcohol-free, unprocessed food diet, and hope I don't go into anaphylactic shock, which happened twice earlier this year. Number 6, take 300 milligrams of magnesium glycinate for the nerve pain. Number 7, take 2,000 milligrams of turmeric pills or 1 turmeric latte for the antioxidants. Number 8, take 165 milligram slow iron pill as to not hurt my tummy tum-tum and to fortify the red blood cells. Number 9, birth control pill so that my uterine cysts don't overgrow and burst in my body, which has happened before. Number 10, antidepressant. This is self-explanatory. Number 11, foam roll my leg muscles. Ooh, number 12, conduct an ancient Mayan or Vigo massage on my abdomen at least once. But it would be better if it was twice a day. This is real, and I will teach it to everyone after the show. Yes, it's very real. It's very helpful. I just don't do it. Yes. Number 13, regulate my emotions as to not cause stress lesions in my body. Number 14, get good sleep to heal in the nighttime. Number 15, don't drink coffee, which as a teacher, this is just not going to happen. Number 16, Eliminate stress from home and work and all of life, again, to combat those stress lesions. Number 17, speak kindly to myself as to not put stress on my body from my verbal words because of the goddamn stress lesions. And number 18, live with at least 2 cats because humans are infuriating sometimes and exacerbate, you guessed it, the stress lesions. Now, just so we are all very clear, all 18 of these things absolutely do not happen every day. I'm lucky if I do 5 of them. Sometimes I do like half of one, because sometimes the chronic illness is just chronic illnessing and prevents you from doing what you need to do. But yes, I also, most of the time, 'tis I that can get in the way of achieving what I need to do. Can't blame the chronic illness for everything. Ugh. But it is just so hard, because it feels like endometriosis is inside of me, and therefore it is me. And in order to take care of my endometriosis, I have to take care of myself. And to take care of myself, I have to take care of my endometriosis. And it's just, it can be so hard to take care of yourself. Like 18 things is too many things. And I'm very sure that I'm missing many more things, but I simply cannot be expected to do all these things to maybe, just maybe feel 80% well. And what is even harder is when I fall short of taking care of myself entirely and just forget about this list and let my chronic illness run rampant. And accepting the chronic responsibility of forgiving those shortcomings, ooh, it is a tall order. I remember I first dabbled with this idea of self-forgiveness when I started drinking in high school. After maybe the 3rd night of binge drinking, the weight of what I had put myself through finally hit the morning after. And I got so desperate to not feel that shitty feeling anymore that I looked up a how to forgive yourself video on YouTube. Yes, and I remember I looked up a video specifically because I was like, I just need a voice to drown out the evil hungover ones that were swirling around in my head calling me a piece of shit. But also, there was another part of me that was like, why should I feel guilty? I was in pain all the time with no answer as to why, so I would just continue to drink. And every morning, of course, would not feel good after. Especially the morning I got blackout drunk at a summer stock cast party and had my high school age little sister come pick me up. Oh, a suffocating guilt lingered after that took months to get over. And my relationship with alcohol and how it affects my chronic illness isn't the only thing that it has forced me to face this scary idea of self-forgiveness. I mean, I have done many things I'm embarrassed of and some things that I deeply regret. Oh, like one morning, my junior year of college, I peed on my floor because I slept naked and I didn't have enough time to get dressed and walk so far down the hallway to the bathroom. Or, oh dear, this is bad. When I started going out to dinner in high school with friends and I was only tipping 10% because I didn't realize that you have to double the number after you move the decimal. Oh, gosh. Or my junior year of college when I wrote down very mean things about people in a notebook out of profound insecurity and lack of self-awareness and lack of emotional regulation, and then had that notebook be found and turned into a member of campus administration, forcing my friends to insist that I take a semester off from college to better myself. Oh, that was some fucked up shit. And took years to learn how to forgive myself for that one. But I'm sure, shall we poll the room again? Because I think, who else here has done something fucked up? Anyone? Of course, we all have. That's the point. All of us. And we have all of us, fallen short of practicing that very, very difficult thing to do, self-forgiveness. I would argue that self-forgiveness is the hardest thing to do in this world. Well, actually, no. That and living in America and not growing violently angry about the political system. Yeah. Oh, and geometry. Geometry is very hard. Like, why do I have to prove that a triangle is a triangle? It's a triangle. Just look at it. Anyway, once I started to commit myself to the chronic responsibility of self-forgiveness and taking care of myself, those horror stories from the past just faded away, and I started to create new beautiful ones. Like when I stopped eating gluten, and I was like, oh wow, there is no longer a fire burning inside my stomach all the time. This is incredible. It starts to become so fun taking care of yourself. Seeing how many days you can set a goal and then crush it for yourself. Waking up and going on a walk instead of throwing up in the bathroom of a brunch establishment because you drank too much the night before. It starts to become so fun taking care of yourself because it makes you feel good. Like opposite of soul-crushing shame good. Opposite of chronic illness flare-up good. Like when I'm doing all of these things, I am on top of the motherfucking world. Even if I do just feel 80%. 80% is the new 1,000,000% when you have endometriosis. And I slip up. And I feel negative 1,000,000% on so many days. Sometimes for full weeks at a time. But I have learned that we all have a chronic responsibility to get back up. To try again. Oh, and most importantly, we have a chronic, Lord, I do mean a chronic responsibility to not be so damn fucking hard on ourselves. Our worst acts and our worst days and those horror stories that can sometimes replay on loop in our mind just not make us bad people. I've heard it said that A plus B does not equal C. And I hope that we can all chronically remember this. For example, if we substitute A, Bianca in the whole notebook situation at college, plus B, Bianca scaring her sister and getting blackout drunk, does not equal C. Bianca is the worst person that has ever lived and needs to put herself constantly down day in and day out. Or, if we substitute A, Bianca does not take her magnesium supplements that are essential for the pain in her pelvis to be somewhat bearable. Plus B, Bianca having a terrible endometriosis flare-up does not equal C. Bianca should return to her drinking ways. A plus B does not equal C. This is what we all have to chronically remember. Because forgiving ourselves is a part of taking care of ourselves. Ooh, maybe that's number 19 on the list. Yes. Because no matter what those crazy voices in your head say, you gotta just forgive. Even when I fuck up, I am worthy. You gotta clap your hands together and say, praise be. Ain't nothing in this life getting the better of me. I'll take nothing in this life as a guarantee. So I let it all loose, let it just be. Forgive. Be eternally grateful for the me that is me. Settle it down. Mistakes will be made, smiles turn to clowns. Accountability can never get you down. So just settle it down. Cause the voices in your head can get mighty loud. So just bump this tune and drown them all out. Settle it down. Yeah. I be. Even when I fuck up, I am worthy. Clap your hands together and say, praise me. Ain't nothing in this life getting the better of me. I'll take nothing in this life as a guarantee. So I let it all loose and let it just be. I be eternally grateful for the me that's me. Around and just settle it down. Cause the voices in your head can get mighty loud. So just bump this tune and drown them all out. Settle it down and get your shit together. I even when I talk about I'm worthy. Clap your hands together and say, praise me. Ain't nothing in this life getting the better of me. Nothing in this life that's a guarantee. So I let it all loose, let it just be. I be eternally grateful for the me that is me. Chronic responsibility to our health. Oh, especially in America. It is so unfair that in this American healthcare system, we with chronic illnesses have a persistent chronic responsibility to be constantly advocating for our own wellness, especially when it comes to reproductive rights.
Yes.
Like mein Gott in Himmel. The way I know more about endometriosis than most doctors. One gynecologist I went to truly said out loud to my face, "Oh wow, you know so much more about endometriosis than me." And also, you're a lesbian, right?
Oh.
Wow.
I'm so sorry. I'm actually pansexual, but you wouldn't know because you didn't ask. Foolish doctor. So it amazes me, but does not surprise me that we with chronic illnesses have to be religiously showing up for ourselves because Neil Armstrong, what are these people doing? And because I have encountered many a foolish doctor, I have had to take it upon myself to read countless health books and articles to try to get some answers about my endometriosis. And many of them have been helpful, with easy lifestyle changes to make to help ease symptoms, be dairy-free, exercise, recipes, meal plans, the list. There is one thing, though, that has popped up in every single health book and article that has been so highly praised, and at least for Bianca, this one thing is so very hard to do, let alone try. Build a spiritual practice. And I do mean every single health book and article I have read discusses how building a spiritual practice is the key to healing chronic pain. But my whole thing is like, fuck that. Like I've always said since I was 9 years old that if God were real, then all of these terrible things would have never happened to me. And fuck all that he's testing us, blah, blah, blah. Spirituality just makes my skin crawl. To ask myself to trust that someone or something out there has gotten my back goes against that curmudgeon filter that little Bianca created, and in a way discounts all the terrible things that little Bianca went through. So in conclusion, spirituality, fuck that. But then in 2023, I started to experience an emotion that I had never truly come into contact with: grief. And it quickly became very, very clear to me that I would need to sort of maybe develop some sort of spiritual something to help out with that. Because grief is very hard. Watching people go through grief, going through it yourself, and all that unprocessed, is delicious food for my endometriosis, creating so much pain. And this is why emotional regulation is so important for an optimal physical health. And it's hard for me to admit, but emotional regulation is linked to a spiritual practice. And I, even after such therapy, still struggle with emotional regulation, especially when it comes to new experiences. I just keep on experiencing life things for the first time, and I'm like, stop, enough. The biggest life thing in 2023 that really slapped me across the face with grief was when I had to put my bestest friend, my kitty cat Jupiter, down. That new experience that I still don't really know how to process led me down many nights of sleepless nights, bad eating habits, and bad endometriosis flare-ups. And I know that spirituality doesn't always have to mean Jesus things. People talk about the spirits and the crystals and the universe, and I guess that there is maybe something out there. But then why did they invent chronic diseases and war and Donald Trump and very excellent kitty cats dying? Grief, I think, is just one of those emotions that is stronger than the others in its own special twisted way, and therefore affects the body in its own special twisted way. For example, did you know that when a person with endometriosis experiences a difficult emotion like grief, these inflammatory proteins called cytokine are released? They release in what is called a cytokine storm. storm, causing immense pain and sometimes flu-like symptoms. And the death of my kitty cat definitely brought on many a cytokine storm. Actually, I would like to clarify something. The next time I need to cancel plans on you all, or I can't come out because of my endometriosis, which by the way is always, 9 times out of 10, if I've canceled on you, it's because I cannot get out of bed. But the next time I'm going to say, oh, I'm so sorry. I am stuck in the middle of a cytokine storm. We'll have to reconnect when the storm passes. Yes. I don't know if I've developed any sort of spiritual practice that greatly helps with my chronic illness. And I can't even stand up here tonight and tell you all that I'm committed to my chronic responsibility of finding one, because that shit is hard and doesn't make sense. I think what I do know is that writing this show and these songs has greatly to help process the passing of my kitty Jupiter, and in turn have a better relationship with my chronic illness. This is something, because bottling up of emotions is bad. It's very bad. But when we bottle up emotions that we have yet to fully experience, like grief, I mean, this is just a recipe for inflammatory disaster. So feel the feelings and know that they can be felt even if your body doesn't know what to do with them. Perhaps this is the chronic responsibility and the spirituality, to just feel the motherfucking feelings. I think what I can say actually is that another part of my spiritual practice that has greatly helped me to process the passing of my kitty Jupiter is imagining that my kitty Jupiter is up at the Rainbow Bridge, connected to heaven, and he looks down at me and he says, meow meow, meow meow, meow meow. Oh, I'm so sorry. Yes, let me translate for you all. Yes. He says, you know, I had to go. I know it's not any better. I need you to know that I'll love you forever. Yes, I swear, just 'cause I'm gone doesn't mean I'm not there. I got time to spare to show you all the love I've left to give. In the trees, in the air, in the grass at your feet, rainbows beautiful and rare. You will find that I'm not going nowhere. I'll tell you about it I will find my way back to you in the sun, in the stars, right inside your broken heart. If you look for me, promise there I'll be. In the trees, in the grass at your feet, rainbows beautiful and rare. You will find that I'm not going nowhere. Tell you about it when I see you there. See you there. I'll see you there. I'll tell you about it when I see you there. I'll tell you all about it when I see you Ah, love. What is love? Baby, don't hurt me. Don't hurt me. No more. I think the hardest part about Jupiter's passing is that it really does feel like I lost a very, very close partner. From the age of 12 to 26, he was with me through every step of my chronic illness journey. Jupiter was, in a lot of ways, my boyfriend. Only one I've had. Perhaps the only one I will ever have, because relationships aren't exactly easy to come. The relationships aren't exactly easy to come by when you have a chronic pelvic inflammatory disease. Oh, it used to plague me so much that I had never been in a relationship. Would not shut up about it. And it became the entire center of my comedic persona in college in my stand-up group. But no more, because I do not want to have sex. And again, at least in my own experience, it has become too clear to me that all anyone ever wants to do is have sex. And just a reminder for those of you that I know have forgotten, sex isn't great for everyone. Some of us have only ever been assaulted. Sex isn't great for everyone, but I'm glad it's great for you. Truthfully though, I am a little embarrassed that at the age of 27, I can only say that the only relationship I've been in is with a cat. But I gotta remember, no hiding tonight. This is the full and true Bianca. And perhaps I am not alone in my lack of human relationship. Let's poll the room again. Yes! Oh, yes, how fun. Now, who here has been in 5 or more romantic relationships during their lifetime? Be brave now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7. That was the same number as last night. Oh my God. Crazy. Now, how many have been in 2 to 5 romantic relationships during their lifetime? And a 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, I know you did, sister. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yes. And yes, how many of us have just been in 1 relationship? 1, 2, love that for you all. These are literally the same numbers from yesterday. Crazy. Now, how many of us have been in 0 relationships? Oh, yes! Oh, this is more than yesterday. Yes! #connection. Yes! Oh, I love it. But I won't lie. I still hope one day for a romantic relationship. Perhaps one that does include sexual intercourse. Earlier this year, I saw this TikTok of a 42-year-old woman talking about how she had never been in a relationship, how she had never been the object of anyone's desire. And in the comment section, there were multiple people at various ages talking about how they too had never been in a relationship. And the woman in the TikTok was talking about how she still hopes for one and wants for one. And at first I was like, this woman is dumb. To have not been in a relationship has been great for my life so far. Definitely not trying to be on track for a nasty divorce like my parents in over 50% of marriages. But But perhaps we all have a chronic responsibility to talk about taboo things, like being 42 and never having been in a relationship. So perhaps she is not dumb. And perhaps we all have a chronic responsibility to daydream, to picture, to manifest, to hope and know that the good things that we want in this life can happen. They can come, even if they take 50 million years to get there. And it is also okay, and perhaps not dumb, to get carried away in the daydreaming of it all. The hope. This is what I struggle with the most, especially having a disease that affects my sexual organ. I so rarely have feelings of those kinds, and if I do, I suppress them and get very, very scared. I think the real reason why I've sworn off being in a relationship this past year is that through all 5 of my assaults and childhood molestation, I have felt like such an object for people. Many years ago in college, someone invited me over to their dorm room, and it was just to hang out, and it was just assumed that I would be romantically sexual with them. Like, okay, I see. I'm just here for your pleasure. People don't realize that that is crazy. They get offended by me. It's weird, and that is what's really dumb. And I know that I have a lot to work on to be able to throw myself into situations that I'm afraid of. I just wish that so many of us could remember that so many of us are afraid, or have chronic illnesses that we are hiding in an attempt to be normal. And we should just acknowledge that instead of sucking each other's elbows or whatever you all do while engaging in fornication. The chronic responsibility to daydream, to picture, to manifest what we wish for in this world. So very difficult to commit yourself to get your hopes up, even if it's very, 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 also very, very, very scary. And romantic, Lord God. Ugh. Fine, I guess I'll try right now. Like, I don't know, maybe there could be a world where I met a man at the prime of my life, with a kind soul and a piercing eyes, and a gentleness that I had never been privileged to. Took a while to draw me in. I stopped broken, got to skin. The past kept me feeling strange, with all the unkind fire to say. Where she go? I prayed and prayed. To my chagrin, I heard her say, make way for this unwanted mystery. I dream of having when I close my eyes. Too easy to care, sick of lonely nights. Found myself fighting for a destiny. 'Cause his eyes said, save me. Just save me. Don't gotta think about it. Better yet, don't think about it. Everything gets a little better when you do. Why don't you just not think about it? Take a deep breath and live without it. 'Cause everything gets a little easier when it's two. You said, I know you're scared and scarred. Travel down a road that's long and far away from all the precious good that you've never known. Just look up and see the stars. Rest your head upon my heart. I won't let you ignore it anymore. Just know my love means so much more. So he took them out, he shot them down, left all the secrets in my head, cleaning out in a blaze of glory. And for a while I thought I knew my love was right, my love was true, baby. You gotta get out of your old story and save me. Just stay. that kind of relationship could maybe at one point be possible for Bianca. It's nice to daydream and think about, I guess. A world where every single core belief I've created for myself is changed into something better. A world where I can be romantically loved and cared for without needing to be anyone or anything but myself. A world where my partner understands my chronic illness and understands the limitations it puts and has continued to put on me and still loves me no matter what. And I can be myself with this person and not ashamed of this disease. But that has not happened yet. And I've had the life I've had and the experiences I've had. And that makes me so worthy of a relationship where I'm not just this thing for others to get pleasure out of. Because just in case you forgot, 5, 6, 7, 8. Sex isn't great for everyone. Some of us have only ever been assaulted or have chronic diseases that cause our stress lesions to flare up if we have an orgasm. Sex isn't great for everyone, but I'm glad it's great for you. I actually should clarify something. I'm not glad that it's great for you. It's not exactly the best feeling to watch others have a great time with something that has historically not been so great for you. Sarcasm, the moral center of curmudgeon Bianca. It is just easier to be sarcastic and secretly mad about things than feign happiness for others. Am I right? Or am I right? And still, I want to be happy for others. I know I can be. I have been in the past. Curmudgeon Bianca is just difficult to fight sometimes. But I guess it is nice to fight her because all that daydreaming about my perfect romantic life was nice. So perhaps I am glad that sex is great for you. And perhaps one day it could be great for me too. Well, actually, I just assumed that it was great for you. I shouldn't have done that. So let me ask, is there anyone here that has perhaps had just one bad experience with sex? Anyone? All of us. Yes, all of us. That's the point. So look at this. So much data we have collected today. Yes, we all have a chronic illness. We've all done something very fucked up. All have, one bad experience with sex. We're a little split on the relationship thing, but that's okay. We'll find our group, yeah? And with this data, we can draw a numerous amount of conclusions. Conclusions could be drawn, leading us to answers. Answers that could shape the very fabric of the future. A future, perhaps, where slices of chocolate cake would line the streets, and we would all have universal health care. Yeah. We also learned so much about chronic illnesses and endometriosis, and how over 60% of the population lives with at least one chronic illness. I think it's also important to note that a majority of those chronic illnesses are silent, unseen. You cannot tell. There are people that have known me for years that would have never known about my endometriosis if not for this show. You know someone who has endometriosis. I mean, me, obviously. But you also know someone else. Because as we have learned, 1 in 10 uterus people have endometriosis. Do you know 10 people? You know someone who has endometriosis. Yes. I think, though, the biggest and most significant piece of information that I have taken from this show is that this thing that has lived inside my body for the majority of my life, ravaged my insides, has made me bedridden for days, sometimes full months at a time, has also made me an artist. And Bianca, as an artist, is unbelievably hysterically funny. Yes, and all that time being bedridden has made me a lover of movies and television and acting and storytelling. Endometriosis has filled me with such a depth of understanding of pain when it comes to the human condition, both physical and mental. Endometriosis has made me a profound singer and writer. Endometriosis has taught me how to funnel my emotions into art. Messy, imperfect, excellent art. Endometriosis has, given me that signature Bianca twist, that pop of zaniness that is, and only is, Bianca. Endometriosis has made me Bianca. And for the longest time, I was so ungrateful for it. Like it was some sort of chronic curse, which it does feel like from time to time. So very often from time to time. But I think in addition to all the chronic responsibilities that my chronic illness has given me, the chronic responsibility to forgive myself, the chronic responsibility to daydream, the chronic responsibility to take accountability for myself and my chronic illness, the chronic responsibility to stay on this planet and tell my story. In addition to all of those, I think the biggest chronic responsibility that I'm going to commit myself to going forward is remembering how the story of that little girl who just got her period brought both positives and negatives. I mean, a year after that swimming pool incident, I got the lead in the school play, so. Too long have I only harped on the negatives, which has been no good for my overall health. I mean, this chronic illness, which has given me so much chronic responsibility, wrote this freaking show. Like, what? So there are so many positives and negatives, and life and death and loss and sadness and so much profound joy. And I am overjoyed by my life, by my art, by myself, and this wonderful MCS community, and the 4.5 years I've spent on this stage, discovering and rediscovering myself in so many ways. So, if you want to get to my level of mental litness, you just got to learn how to coexist among disaster. Stop pining for happily ever after, 'cause you know, or so you've been told, the happiness awaits on the journey. Those evil voices just complicate your complexion. Get them out, don't be needing all that deception. You decide that life is a prize. It ain't gonna feel like it all the time, but I believe it or not, you're the one that you got. So just shoot your best shot, 'cause we wanna see how you play. If you get deep rest, then take a deep breath, then say what you gotta say. Oh, it's coming to you. guess that's the end. I want some.
It needed to go.
You needed to go. Yes, we can take our survey. You take the
Be so
survey,
kind.
come get some uterus confetti, you know. Make a whole thing about it.
Oh my God, it's really uterus.
It is uterus confetti. Thank you for watching on the live stream.